Jump seating is a great opportunity, but there definitely is some etiquette, and you should be aware of that etiquette.
Most pilots don't understand what career opportunities are available in the world of aviation. They're making career decisions based on advice from friends or posts on internet forums, meaning they are taking huge risks with their livelihood without having all the details. This podcast was created to help you understand the aviation industry so you can find your dream job. Let's get ready for Pushback. Here's your host and my dad, Nick Fialka.
Hey, pilot, welcome to Ready for Pushback. It's Nick Fialka, and you have found another solo show. I'm glad you're here today. We are talking about airline-specific things today, and some of you may be familiar with this. Some of you may not be familiar. We are talking about jump seating, and maybe you know what a jump seat is, maybe you don't. So let's talk about it and discuss what it is. So in an aircraft, like a large airliner, even a regional aircraft, there are typically one or two, sometimes three extra seats in the flight deck that are for pilots that are trying to get from one place to another. Oftentimes, a jump seat can be there for a check airman to sit in if there's a check ride going on, all sorts of different things. But yeah, there are extra seats. The reason they're awesome is because today, load factors, meaning the amount of butts in seats on an airliner, are just high. Every plane seems to always be full. And one of the really cool benefits that we get to have as airline pilots is the fact that we are allowed to ride in that jump seat from point A to point B. And if you work for a company and your company has a jump seat and it is available for you to ride in, then you have the opportunity to hop into that jump seat. Likewise, if you are at a company that has a jump seat agreement with another airline, you can go onto other airlines' jump seats. For instance, if you flew for United and you were trying to get from Nashville to Atlanta, and you wanted to jump on an Allegiant flight, you could ask to fly in the jump seat. Or if you're going from Atlanta on Delta to Fort Worth and you work for American, you could jump on a Delta jump seat and make it happen. Does that make sense? I hope it does. Basically, extra seats, basically for pilots that are they're able to use. Now, there are rules associated with jump seats. The first one I want you to realize that is, if you plan on taking a jump seat, it is important for you to dress professionally. That means probably not wearing sneakers, wearing some kind of nice closed-toed shoe, not wearing shorts, not wearing a t-shirt, right? You have to dress business casual to ride in a jump seat. Some airlines require you to have a shaven face if you are a man in that jump seat. And so there are certain rules that you need to be aware of. Number one rule is look good, dress professionally, and be ready. Now, the second rule of the jump seat is very important. You are a pilot who is asking another pilot to sit in their flight deck while they are working, okay? And that's a kind of crazy thing because there are a captain and first officer up front that are planning to do this flight, and you are asking to sit there and be in the same area as them, and it is not a guaranteed thing. Therefore, when you go forward, you need to politely ask permission from the captain if it is okay for you to ride in the jump seat, literally asking permission. Even if it's your company. If you fly for American and you're jump seating on American, you always ask permission. And the reason you do that is It's the captain's decision whether or not you are allowed on that jump seat. And almost everybody is super cool about it. And so I want you to consider that, and I want you to remember that, because if you are not entitled to that jump seat, and if you act entitled to the jump seat, that's a quick way for the captain just to say no. I've seen a person be turned down for a jump seat. It's a little wild, okay? Now, next, when you go to the jump seat, listen, if you are an airline pilot already and you're listening to my show, I need you to listen up. This is so important. When you walk into that flight deck, you need to have a few things in your hand. The first thing you need to have is the jump seat ticket that you got from the gate agent. The next thing you need to have is your credentials from the company that you fly for. The next thing that you need to have is your ATP pilot certificate. And the last thing you need to have is your medical, unexpired medical. And you have to show those to the captain every time you ask for a jump seat. So have them out, have them in your hand, have them ready. Because when you ask for it, you can either stand there with a blank stare on your face, or you can say, Captain, do you mind if I ride in your jump seat? My name is Nick. Here are all of my credentials. I would really appreciate a ride home. And the guy's going to be like, yes. One of the things that drives me nuts, like grinds my gears, probably one of the only things, is when somebody gets to a jump seat, they ask to use a jump seat, they hand you the ticket, and then they just stare at you. Because I am legally required by the FAA to see all the credentials. So go ahead and grab them, have them out. It's easy. It's just easy. Be right there and have them in hand, because you feel like a doofus when you ask for it. You don't want the captain feeling like an idiot. Maybe they care to look at it. Maybe they don't care to look at it, but they're required to. So have it out. Have it ready. Next thing that is really important to think about. There are times when you will be on that plane where it is a sterile cockpit, where you are not supposed to talk unless it is safety of flight related. And that time frame is the taxi out, it's the climb to 10,000 feet, it's changing 1,000 foot out, last 1,000 foot level off altitudes. It's a handful of different things. And what you need to be aware of when you are in a jump seat is don't be chatty. Be professional, be quiet, let them do their job, and know that if you're just rambling on, you could impact the flight, and they could miss a call, they could miss an altitude, they could, miss some kind of automation setup, all those important things. And you should just be a fly on the wall unless you are engaged by the captain and the first officer. Just sit back, relax, be quiet, chill out. The next thing to know is that you are also the third member of that crew. Maybe you're the fourth member. Maybe there are 2 or 3 jump seats. But if you are in the aircraft and you are on the flight deck, then you are the eyes and ears just like they are. If they don't see an aircraft moving and they need to be aware of something, you should be the person to tell them. Or if they blow past an altitude, you can say, hey, weren't we supposed to level off at 10,000 feet? Or they miss a call and you say, hey, did you hear that? That was you guys. Be a good, positive part of that crew. That is an awesome thing. You can be an extra, you can have 150% CRM instead of just 100% with 2 pilots. You get 3, you have 150%. Let's go. I think that is quite often overlooked, is that you are there for an important fact. And there's an important lesson with that, because I think it was the plane that crashed that hit the approach end of the runway on final in San Francisco. I don't remember if it was Korean Airlines or Japan Airlines. We'll have to look that up. Apologies ahead of time. But there was a third person in the jump seat that saw things going bad. I believe it was a 777, and they were flying in and they landed short of the runway and didn't land. They crashed short of the runway. It was a big, hairy, nasty mess because that person on the jump seat didn't say anything. So there's that. And the kind of final last thing I want to leave you with is one of the things that kind of spurred this conversation is recently there was a person from one airline jump seating on another airline home from work. And I'm not going to go into the specifics. You can certainly look it up and talk about it, but there's a lot of conjecture about what happened. But long story short, when this pilot was done riding the jump seat home, there was a phone call made by somebody to the FAA reporting the pilots that something negative had happened. That's basically what I want to say. And what I want to tell you is that you are an aviation professional. And if there's something that goes on in a flight that is negative, that is something that needs to be addressed, then you as a man or a woman, an aviation professional, needs to be able to step forward and make those things known to the pilots at the time. And do not be the person that blindly backdoors, calls the FAA, tells somebody, tells on the crew, whatever. Like, if you have a problem, go ahead and deal with it up front. That is the professional way to deal with things. It just is. And be that professional. But I do want to tell you that jump seating is awesome. Jump seating is a great opportunity. Jump seating are a thing, just one of the benefits that we have. But there definitely is some etiquette, and you should be aware of that etiquette. And now you are aware of that etiquette. I appreciate you guys listening. I hope that you have enjoyed this. And on Monday, I will be back with another interview episode. If you haven't already watched us, liked us, subscribed to us, all those things on YouTube, that's a great chance. You can go do that right now. I appreciate all of it. You guys are the best, and I will catch you later. All right, pilots, that's a wrap on this episode, and I know what you're thinking. You need to make yourself a little bit better. So how do you make yourself a little bit better? You tighten up your resume. So here's what I want you to do. Go over to my website, spitfireelite.com/podcast, and you can download my free resume template. It is literally my resume that you can download and you can put your own skill sets in. It is tight, it is organized, and it's the perfect pilot resume. It's just something I like to do for the pilot group, and it is free to you. So go over there, spitfireelite.com/podcast, and download your free resume template. While you're over there, look at all the services that we offer. Lots of great interview prep, lots of great application review. Everything you need to be a professional pilot is right there at my website, spitfireelite.com/podcast. Thanks, and I'll see you on the next episode.